Hi, my dear children. Very good morning to everyone. Welcome to the next session of our science class. I am Satish Kumar, your science teacher at Dr. Basin School. In the previous video, we have completed the portion different types of joints. We learnt about fixed joints, freely movable joints, slightly movable joints. And again, in freely movable joints, we learnt about some other types of joints available under freely movable joints, isn't it? Yes, in the last video I already told you that you are going to have your FA1 examinations very soon. So, in order to get ready for the examinations, you require a good practice. For that, we are going to send you revision videos based on the topics that have been already discussed by us. With respect to our science subject, what is the syllabus for FA1 examination? That is the lesson 1 mix and match. And when it comes to lesson 2 up and about, whatever the video portion covered up to 2.5 activity, that is a different type of joints, I said. So what was the content covered till the last video? You are going to have that for the syllabus portion, isn't it? Yes. Now, so with respect to these two lessons up to activity 2.5, first lesson and second lesson activity 2.5, you are going to have your FA1 examination, which consisting of 25 marks. It may be mostly consisting of multiple choice, that is objective questions, if possible with blanks portion. So the paper model, everything will be revealed very soon. You will get all the information regarding that FA1 examination. Before that, it is very important for you to go through the studio book, companion and the notes part. But if you are very good at the studio book and the companion question time portion, so you will have the plenty of chances to get very good score. I hope each and every student will perform that exam well and secure good marks. Can you do it, my dear students? Yes, very good. So, from my side, I want you to attempt the exam in a great or grand manner. Okay, my dear students? To do all these things, what is required? Yes, sincere practice is required. Just to go through the lessons again, what have been discussed so far. So, in this connection, today I am going to recap of what we have learnt in the lesson mix and match. Are you ready, my dear students? So get ready with your studio book, companion, classwork or running notes with the stationery item, that is pen, pencil, eraser, etc. Right? Now, so when it comes to the mix and match lesson, in that lesson we have discussed about the different properties of materials. And based on the properties of material, we have classified the objects into different types, isn't it? And with the help of those properties, one can able to sort the objects or classification of the objects, isn't it? So, with respect to the lesson content that have been covered in our mix and match lesson, okay, my dear students. So, the ultimate aim in that lesson is we have classified the objects, materials into metals and non-metals. Metals and non-metals. So, what do you mean by metal? Which object is said to be called a metal? A metal is a substance usually hard in nature and possess the properties malleability, ductility, yes, good, sonority, very good, luster, yes, thermal conductivity, you can say good thermal conductivity. Okay, my dear students. So, the object which is hot and possess these properties: malleability, ductility, sonority, luster, and with good thermal conductivity. Of course, electrical conductivity can also be included in that. If an object substance possesses these properties, then it is said to be called as metal, isn't it? What are the different examples of metals? Iron, gold, silver, copper, tin, lead, zinc, magnesium. Okay, these all comes under examples for metals. What are the different examples for metals? Iron, silver, gold, copper, tin, lead, etc. If you go on right, you will get some more examples for the metals. Okay, my dear students. Now let's go through each and every property. What's the first one? Malleability. What is the first one? Malleability. So, what do you mean by malleability? What do you mean by malleability? Yes, it is the property of a material that can be drawn into fine sheets is said to be known as malleability or is called malleability. So, if a substance on hitting or beaten hotly beaten and it can be drawn into thin sheets, then the property of that substance is to be called as malleability. Is to be called as malleability. Are you following? Yes. Now, which substance are said to be malleable? Some examples for malleable. Who comes under malleable? All the metals. We discussed about aluminium foil. Aluminium foil is used for tablet wrappings and food packaging. While food packaging also we use this aluminium wrappers. This aluminium metal is beaten into fine sheets. Lead also can be converted into sheets which can be used for waterproofing. For the house roofing purpose or industrial and construction purpose, we can use this lead sheets. Okay, so we can take the examples as lead and one more. Okay, lead and zinc sheets, you can take the examples. We can also take aluminium. Okay, my dear students, these can be considered as examples for malleable. Okay. Okay, my dear students. Small disturbance, my dear students, till one pending. After completion of this, I will handle over. Okay. Sorry for the disturbance, my dear students. Now, so here which metals are said to be malleable? We can take examples of lead, zinc, aluminium, copper. Also, it's a copper strips or sheets. Okay. Now, next comes ductility. That means, what is the meaning of ductility? Yes, the ability of a material that can be drawn into thin wires, a wire-like structure, a thread-like structure, string-like structures. Then the ability of that material is said to be known as ductility. Said to be known as ductility. So, which are said to be ductile? You can see copper wires we use for electrical purposes, wiring. And that is nothing but the property of malleability only. So, we can take the best example as copper. Iron wires, that can be taken as example. And in the preparation of ornaments, gold and silver can be turned up into wires only. Anklets, chains, these are wire-like structures. Yes. Next comes malleability. Sonorous. What do you mean by this sonorous? A sonority. This is the one more property of a material that can able to produce a ringing sound. Ability of a material that can be able to produce a ringing sound. Okay, do you understand? Ability of a material that can be able to produce a ringing sound is said to be called ductile. You can take a steel vessel and if you drop it, drop on the floor, you can able to hear a sound. Said to be called the ringing sound, and the material is said to be sonorous in nature. Said to be sonorous in nature. You can take tin, iron. See, in our puja room while doing puja, at the time of giving harti to the god, we used to have a bell which produces some ringing sound. That is nothing but based on the property of, yes, sonority. Of course, even in schools, when there is no power, that means we cannot have the electrical bell ringing. Then we used to have an iron gong. An iron bar is going to be hit by an iron gong, isn't it? With the help of iron bar, so that you can able to hear a long, gentle and ringing sound. So iron also possesses sonority nature. That is sonorous in nature. What next? Luster. So which materials are said to be lustrous in nature? See, this is the ability of a material that can able to appear shiny when light falls on it. So when light falls on an object, it is going to able to reflect, isn't it? So the reflecting property, that means it makes it to appear shiny when light falls on the surface, is said to be called lustrous. Luster. And those objects are said to be lustrous in nature. Lustrous in nature. Generally, you will observe this lustrous nature, especially with respect to the jewelry items, ornaments. We use gold, silver, platinum. These are mostly lustrous in nature. So I can take down the examples as silver, gold, thermal conductivity. If you want to cook food, or boil water, or prepare tea, or prepare sambar, we require one vessel. So what should be the property of that vessel? Whatever the heat that is supplied by the heating device, that is the flame or stove, it should be transferred to the contents present in the vessel. Isn't it? So if you pour some amount of water into a beaker, steel vessel, and place it on a stove, after a certain period of time, you can able to witness the water starts boiling, or if you touch with your fingers, you can feel the water is in hot condition. So the heat energy has been transferred from the heating device to the water through vessel. Here the vessel allows the heat to travel through itself. That is what we call said to be thermal conductivity. That is what you call said to be, yes, thermal conductivity. Do you understand? So the ability of the material to allow the heat to travel through itself is said to be called thermal conductivity. So good thermal conductors. Good thermal conductors. So, what we can take good thermal conductors? Yes, metals, iron, silver, copper. These are all good thermal conductors of heat. Okay. So, one more we discussed about, while discussing about this good thermal conductivity, we have also discussed about poor thermal conductivity. Some materials do not allow the heat energy to travel through them. Okay, just now we discussed about the metals, these are good thermal conductors, isn't it? These metal containers which we use for cooking purpose also, they contain handles, and if you observe, those handles are covered with plastic, or in detail I can say thermosetting plastic. Here a vessel is kept on a stove. Okay, heat energy is supplied to, say 15 or 20 minutes after, even though you touch your handle with your bare hands, you will not feel any sort of heat. You don't feel any sort of heat. That is because this plastic doesn't allow the heat to pass through itself. It is said to be called an poor thermal conductor or insulator, which doesn't allow the heat to transfer through itself. It doesn't allow the heat to transfer itself. Do you understand? So that is what is called said to be the property of, poor thermal conductivity. Is it required or not? Yes. In order to bring down a hot vessel from the stove to the ground or somewhere else, what do we use? We use tongs, pair of tongs, or we use cloth, isn't it? Or if they have handles, simply covered by the plastic, or even you can say wood. Okay, it doesn't means you can easily handle them, such type of devices. Wood is also a poor conductor of heat. Wood is also a poor conductor of heat. Are you able to understand? Like plastic. Plastic here I have taken thermosetting plastic. If you heat the thermosetting plastic, instead of melting, it doesn't melt, and even it becomes hard also. That is the nature of a thermosetting plastic. Generally, if we take any polythene cover, we put it on the heating device, immediately it will burn out. If the heating device is on, it will melt. But unlike that nature, this plastic is this thermosetting plastic doesn't melt, and even it becomes hard on eating. Okay, do you understand all those things? So these are the different properties we have discussed with respect to the metals. Now comes non-metals. We are going to discuss the topic non-metals. What do you mean by non-metals? Very simple. The materials that do not possess the properties that a metal possesses. So whatever the properties which are possessed by a metal, which were not possessed by a non-metal. It's very simple, opposite word. So non-metal is a substance that do not possess the properties of malleability, ductility, sonority, thermal conductivity, and lustrous. Are you able to understand? Yes, that is a description about non-metals. So now we are going to discuss about non-metals. Like metals, these non-metals do not possess the properties which were possessed by a metal. But even though they too possess some additional properties, the one we can consider as brittle. Brittle. Which objects are brittle in nature? The materials which do not bend, twist, like ductile or malleable, they will break. So the materials which breaks easily are said to be called as brittle in nature. They said to be the nature, have the nature brittle. They said to have the nature brittle. You understand? Yes. What examples we can take for brittle? Glass. When you handle any glass item, your elders or mother or father will say that you have to handle them with care. Suppose if it slips from your hand and falls onto the ground, it will break into several pieces, which is that we call as brittle in nature. So what type of things are brittle in nature? Glass, clay, porcelain items. So glass and clay items, etc. Enough. These are brittle in nature. Similarly, clay items. If we drop them on the ground, to take pot, yes, it is brittle in nature. Okay. And one more, that is flexible. Flexible. Even though the non-metals are, what you can say, they are not malleable and ductile, but even though there are some materials which can have the property of flexibility, which can be turned up into any shape we require. For example, you take the rubber band. If we stretch it, it will expand. If we leave it again, it comes to the normal position. The flexibility, rubber material is flexible in nature. So one more additional property, flexible. Next, hard. Next one, hard. We can take example as wood and plastic. Just now we discussed about thermosetting plastic, no? Handles and switchboards, melamine and bakelite. These are the hardest plastic substances. So these are hard. And one, rigid. Rigid means very strong. Firm. They do not bend that much easily. Like you can take the wooden chairs or the wooden locks you can take. They are rigid. So you can take the example for rigid as wood. Wood is rigid in nature. Okay, my dear students, these are some points regarding with respect to the non-metals. Do you understand everyone? Yes. Now, later we discussed about pure substances and mixers. We have discussed about pure substances and mixers. What do you mean by a pure substance? A pure substance is made up of only single type of component. A pure substance is made up of only single type of component and cannot be further divided by any physical methods. Okay, what comes under pure substances? Remember, all the metals are pure substances. All the metals are pure substances. So you can take iron, copper, silver, gold, tin, lead, all this comes under pure substance. You can say glucose, isn't it? Yes, we can also write down glucose. Some compounds are also pure substance. Glucose, fructose, lactose. Okay, all these are pure substances. And next comes mixers. Next comes mixers. What are mixers? Yes, a mixer is a combination of two or more pure substances, and they can be separated by physical methods. After that, the substance can able to retain their original properties. Such substances are said to be called as mixers. Mixer is a combination of, yes, two or more pure substances which can be retain their original properties and can be separated into individual components by various physical methods. What sort of examples we can take? Solutions. Sugar plus salt gives sugar solution. Sugar plus water, sugar solution. Salt plus water, salt solution. Lemon juice plus sugar plus water, lemonade. That is also a solution. Okay. These are all mixers. And we can take fruit juice, fruit salads, and even take one more best natural example, air. Air is a homogeneous mixture of several gases in the atmosphere. Okay, so air is also considered as a what? Yes, mixer. It is also considered as a mixer. Do you understand? So, what about pure substances? The substances which are made up of only one type of component. Which are made up of only one type of component. And mixers are made up of two or more components and can be separated into individual components, isn't it? Yes. And one more thing here is, these substances after getting separation into individual components, they can retain their original properties. Example for mixers, we can take solutions. Sugar mixed with water, we get sugar solution. Salt dissolved in water gets salt solution. We'll prepare these solutions or not? Yes. Similarly, we can take air as a solution, example for solution. Are you following? These are we can take for mixers. And one more important one is alloys. Just recap what we discussed about alloys. Generally, metals are very reactive in nature. They react with the atmospheric oxygen in the presence of moisture and forms respective metal oxides on their surface, which we call it as rusting. Generally, you can observe iron articles have a brown color coating on their surface to be called rusting. We call Telugu tuppu or pimpuru antam. Okay, so these metal, iron which is reactive in nature, forms iron oxide when reacting with moisture and atmospheric oxygen. In order to prevent this metal, what we have to do? Generally in our houses we use it to fit windows or even the doors, entrance gates made of iron only. They were first painted with primary, then they were painted with different paints. So this paint acts as a good layer in order to preventing from atmospheric oxygen and moisture. So the metal lasts for lasts long. And one more process we can use is alloying. Alloying is nothing but it is a combination of one or more metals with non-metals. We can take different examples for alloys. Brass, bronze, and one more familiar alloy, steel. Steel is an alloy of iron with carbon. Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. Brass is an alloy of copper and zinc. The combination of these metals gives the respective alloys. So alloys are having some more special properties when compared to the remaining. Okay, my dear students, do you understand all these things? So this is so far what we have discussed with respect to our mix and match lesson. We discussed about metals and non-metals, their respective properties, examples for each property, isn't it? And then see, my dear, at the end of the lesson, after the completion of the concept map, you have glossary. I request again, once again, each and every student to go through these two topics many a times so that the entire lesson portion summary can be able to identify in these two concepts, and it will be very helpful for you in writing the exams to a great extent. Okay, my dear students, when we meet in the next video, we will discuss about up and about lesson. Skeletal adaptations by different animals, and of course skeletal adaptations by the human body. Okay, my dear students, until then, bye, have a nice day.